The chandeliers sparkled like galaxies trapped in glass, casting golden reflections on the long mahogany dining table. It was an exclusive, high-profile gathering. America's wealthiest oil barons, a group of billionaires who had long dominated the energy industry, had assembled for an annual celebration. Champagne glasses clinked and laughter echoed across the hall as the men reveled in their shared empire, one built on crude oil and untamed ambition. The event was hosted by Richard "Dick" Caldwell, the chairman of Titan Petroleum, a man whose net worth rivaled small nations. He adjusted his tuxedo and smirked as he raised his glass. "Gentlemen," he began, his deep Southern accent carrying the authority of someone accustomed to power, "I propose a toast to the finest industry in the world. To oil, the blood of civilization." A roar of approval followed, glasses lifted high. But then Richard's smirk widened into a mischievous grin. "You know," he continued, "as we celebrate, I couldn't help but think about a certain someone." He let the words hang in the air before delivering the punchline. "A certain billionaire who believes he can replace all this with batteries and space dreams." Laughter erupted. The guests instantly knew who he was referring to. "Elon Musk," one of them shouted, prompting another round of guffaws. "Oh, come on, Dick," said another billionaire, an older gentleman with graying hair. "Musk is a sideshow, a tech geek with deep pockets but no real understanding of how the world works." Richard leaned forward, his eyes gleaming. "He thinks electric cars will end oil? He thinks rockets and AI will somehow make us obsolete? Hell, let's invite him here so we can give him a reality check." The room erupted in cheers. "I'll send him an invitation myself," Richard declared, laughing. A waiter approached, holding a phone on a silver tray. "Sir," he said hesitantly, "Mr. Musk is on a live podcast right now. They asked about you." Richard raised an eyebrow and took the phone. On the screen was Elon Musk speaking at a Lex Fridman podcast, responding to a question about his critics in the oil industry. "Elon, they say your vision is naive. That oil isn't going anywhere," Lex stated. Elon smirked. "Oh, I'm sure they say a lot of things," he replied. "But you know, reality doesn't care about their opinions. Innovation always wins." Richard grinned. "Let's make this fun," he muttered. He pulled out his phone and, in front of the entire room, typed out a public challenge on Twitter. "At Elon Musk, if you think you're smarter than all of us combined, how about a live debate? Let's see you defend your fairy tales against the men who built the modern world. #realitycheck. The tweet was sent. Within seconds, phones around the room buzzed. The oil barons chuckled, patting Richard on the back. But then something unexpected happened. Elon's phone vibrated mid-interview. He glanced at the screen and, without hesitation, grinned. "Interesting," he murmured. Then, looking directly at the camera, he said, "Challenge accepted." The world held its breath. The internet exploded. Within minutes, the hashtag Musk versus oil trended worldwide. Journalists, influencers, and business analysts scrambled to cover the unfolding spectacle. Elon Musk has officially accepted the challenge thrown by oil industry tycoon Richard Caldwell, CNN reported. Will this be the ultimate showdown between clean energy and fossil fuels? Richard Caldwell, sipping bourbon in his private study, smirked as he watched the media frenzy. "The kid took the bait," he muttered. "This is going to be fun." His assistant, a lean man in a sharp suit, entered the room. "Sir, requests are pouring in from major networks. CNN, Fox, CNBC. They all want exclusive rights." Richard leaned back in his chair, relishing the moment. "We do this on my terms. I want it on neutral ground, no funny business." He paused. "Call the Washington Forum. Book the hall." The Washington Forum, an iconic venue known for high-stakes political and business debates, was secured within hours. Both parties agreed on a date just a week away. Meanwhile, Elon Musk was equally unfazed. He posted a single tweet. "See you there. Bring your best arguments. I'll bring reality." His supporters rallied. "Musk is about to destroy them with facts and logic," one fan tweeted. "Oil billionaires don't stand a chance." But not everyone was convinced. Pundits debated furiously on TV. "Elon Musk may be a genius, but he's stepping into enemy territory," said one analyst. "These are men who built their fortunes on oil, who understand energy markets better than anyone. It's not just about science. It's about economics and politics." Richard was already preparing his strategy. He gathered his closest advisors, industry experts, and economists. "We need to hit him where it hurts," he said. "Tesla's profitability, battery supply chains, the real cost of renewables." Elon, on the other hand, was relaxed. While others strategized, he was busy reviewing SpaceX launch data, testing new AI models at Tesla, and making cryptic tweets like, "The greatest weakness of old empires? They never see the new one coming." The stage was set. The world waited. The night of the debate arrived. The Washington Forum was packed with journalists, business moguls, and policymakers. Millions watched live as two titans of industry prepared to go head-to-head. On one side of the stage sat Richard Caldwell, exuding confidence in his custom-tailored suit. Beside him, three of the world's top oil executives sat with smug expressions ready to dismantle Musk's vision. On the other side sat Elon Musk, dressed simply in a black t-shirt and blazer, his expression unreadable. He had come alone, no advisors, no industry experts, just himself. The moderator, an experienced journalist from CNBC, addressed the audience. "Tonight, we witness a defining debate of our era: fossil fuels versus renewable energy. Let's begin with opening statements. Mr. Caldwell, you go first." Richard adjusted his tie and smiled. "Ladies and gentlemen, let's get something straight. Oil is not going anywhere. It powers our economy, fuels our industries, and sustains modern civilization. Without it, we'd be living in the dark ages." Applause erupted from the oil executives section. Richard continued, "Renewable energy? It's a pipe dream. Electric cars? They rely on batteries made from rare earth minerals mined in horrific conditions. Solar and wind? Too unreliable. The world runs on oil, and it will keep running on oil." End of story. Another round of applause. Richard leaned back, triumphant. The moderator turned to Elon. "Mr. Musk, your response?" Elon smirked. "That was a lot of words to say you're scared." The audience went dead silent. Elon leaned forward, his voice calm but piercing. "You say oil is the foundation of modern civilization. That's like saying horses were the foundation of transportation in the 1800s. Sure, they were for a while. But then cars happened." The oil executives exchanged uneasy glances. Elon continued, "You talk about battery mining as if oil extraction is some noble art. Your industry has spilled millions of gallons of crude into oceans, polluted entire cities, and wrecked ecosystems. And now, when a better alternative exists, you suddenly care about ethical sourcing." Murmurs spread through the audience. Richard, regaining composure, chuckled. "Nice speech, Elon. But let's talk facts. Tesla still relies on government subsidies. Your so-called clean energy still needs fossil fuels for production and transport. Your rockets? They burn kerosene. How's that for irony?" Laughter rippled through the crowd. Elon nodded. "You're right. We still use some fossil fuels. But here's the difference: you're fighting to preserve the past. I'm working to replace it." Silence. Then he dropped the bombshell. "Tesla will soon unveil a battery that lasts over 1,000,000 miles. SpaceX is developing rockets that will be fueled by renewable methane, not oil. And here's the kicker: our AI research is accelerating the transition to an all-electric future faster than your analysts can even predict." A billionaire showdown was about to begin. The oil executive's smiles faded. Richard scoffed. "That's cute, but until you show proof, it's all just speculation." Elon pulled out his phone. "Sure. Here's a live feed of our latest prototype in action." He tapped the screen, and behind him, the giant LED display lit up, showing Tesla's newest battery breakthrough in real-time testing. The audience gasped. The oil billionaires suddenly realized they weren't debating the future. The future had already arrived. The massive screen behind Elon Musk displayed Tesla's next-generation battery in real-time testing. The data was undeniable: efficiency, longevity, and durability that shattered previous benchmarks. A wave of murmurs spread through the audience. Even some of the oil executives leaned forward, their smug expressions replaced with uncertainty. Richard Caldwell's jaw tightened, but he quickly forced a grin. "That's impressive, Elon, really? But let's cut through the hype. You still haven't answered the big question: cost?" He turned to the audience. "You see, ladies and gentlemen, electric cars and clean energy sound great, but they come with a price tag. And let's be real, how many regular Americans can afford a Tesla? The Model S starts at what? Over 70 grand? A gas-powered car costs half that." Richard leaned in, his voice thick with condescension. "Elon, you're not saving the planet. You're just selling expensive toys to rich tech nerds." The audience chuckled, and Richard basked in the moment. But Elon remained unfazed. That's a fair argument, Elon admitted. Electric cars are more expensive for now. He pulled up another slide. This is how much the price of lithium-ion batteries has dropped in the past decade. A graph appeared showing a steep decline. And this is the projected cost in the next 5 years. The line dipped even further. Elon looked directly at Richard. By 2027, electric vehicles will be cheaper to manufacture than gas-powered cars. Once that happens, who is going to choose a gas guzzler over a car that's faster, cheaper to maintain, and runs on free energy from the sun? Richard's smirk faltered. Elon pressed on. And let's talk about subsidies. You mock Tesla for receiving government incentives, but do you know which industry gets even more subsidies? Yours. A chart appeared showing the billions in tax breaks and government handouts that oil companies received each year. Without those subsidies, Elon continued, gas prices would be sky-high. So, Richard, if you really believe in the free market, why don't you give up your government handouts and let's see which industry survives? The crowd erupted in gasps and scattered applause. Richard opened his mouth but hesitated. The truth was, oil companies had been propped up by subsidies for decades. He knew it, and now so did everyone watching. Elon leaned back, casually sipping his water. That's what I thought. The moderator stepped in. Mr. Caldwell, your response? Richard took a deep breath. He wasn't about to go down that easily. Fine, he said. Maybe EVs are coming. Maybe renewables are growing. But here's the reality, Elon, you're not replacing oil. Not anytime soon. He turned to the audience. Oil isn't just about cars. It's in everything: plastics, aviation, manufacturing, pharmaceuticals. You can't just flip a switch and make it disappear. Elon nodded. That's true. Oil won't vanish overnight. But let me ask you something, do you remember Blockbuster? Richard blinked. What? Elon continued, Blockbuster used to be everywhere. People thought DVDs and video rentals would always exist. Then Netflix happened. He gestured to Richard. You, my friend, are Blockbuster. Oil might be around for a while, but its dominance is coming to an end. And when the transition is complete, no one will even remember why we relied on it for so long. The crowd went wild. For the first time that night, Richard Caldwell looked rattled. He wasn't debating a businessman anymore. He was debating the future itself. Richard Caldwell was sweating. He had spent his entire career controlling boardrooms, dictating policy, and bending politicians to his will. But here he was on live television, watching his industry's dominance slip through his fingers, one fact at a time. He needed to land a final blow. With a forced chuckle, he straightened his posture and turned to the audience. All right, Elon, I'll admit you've got vision. But let me tell you what you don't have: a reality. He gestured broadly. You think you can replace oil? Fine. But what happens when the power grid fails? When EVs run out of charge in the middle of nowhere? When the wind doesn't blow and the sun doesn't shine? What then? He pointed a finger at Elon. Your utopia depends on flawless technology. Oil doesn't. Oil works no matter what. That's why it's irreplaceable. A few nods and murmurs of approval came from the audience. Richard seized the moment, pushing harder. Face it, Musk. You're a dreamer, but the real world runs on crude, not wishful thinking. He grinned, thinking he had reclaimed control. But Elon just smirked. I love when people say stuff like that, he said, leaning into the mic. It reminds me of when people mocked electric cars. Or reusable rockets. Or AI. They all said the same thing: it won't work. He spread his hands. And yet, here we are. The audience chuckled, sensing where this was going. Elon continued, you talk about oil like it's an unshakable force of nature. It's not. It's just old technology. And like all old technology, it will be replaced by something better. That's not a guess. That's how progress works. Richard's confidence wavered again. Elon leaned forward, his tone sharper. As for power grids failing? That's exactly why we're working on Tesla's decentralized energy storage. No single failure can take the system down. And if EVs run out of charge in the middle of nowhere? Our self-charging solar panels solve that. He grinned. Oil is brittle. It depends on fragile supply chains, global stability, and geopolitical maneuvering. Meanwhile, clean energy is getting cheaper, more efficient, and more resilient every year. Then Elon delivered the final blow. You say the world runs on oil. He paused, letting the moment hang. But that's not true. The crowd fell silent. Elon locked eyes with Richard. The world runs on ideas. And better ideas always win. The room exploded into applause. The debate was over. Richard Caldwell sat frozen, his empire suddenly feeling less permanent than ever before. Elon Musk stood up, adjusted his blazer, and gave a small nod to the moderator. Then, with his signature smirk, he left the stage.